Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. I will take you to Bayelsa State before we go to Edo State. But not a good news coming out of Bayelsa State in the southern region of the country at the moment. 3 days to the governorship election there. And today, 3 people are feared killed following the violence that rocked the People's Democratic Party rally at Okolombabiri in Nembe local government area of Bayelsa State today. It was gathered that some yet-to-be-identified gunmen stormed the venue of the rally and began shooting indiscriminately. A driver of an OB van attached to the Bayelsa State-owned radio station, Simon Ono, was one of those said to have been shot dead. Earlier, some journalists and supporters of the PDP had made their way to Nembe Pasambri, where the APC deputy governorship candidate Senator Degi Yumbakuma hails from. They were, however, denied entry into the community, after which they moved to Okolombabiri, a nearby community where they were greeted with violence that resulted in the death of 3 persons. Senator Yumbakuma was disqualified yesterday from participating in the election holding on Saturday by a federal high court in Abuja. The PDP believes that they will retain the governorship seat for their party and consolidate on what Seriake Dixon has done in 8 years. But the APC insists David Lyon is the answer to the plight of the Bayelsa people. Tonight, we shall be dissecting and discussing the agenda of the politician for the people of Bayelsa State, the major political parties and their plans, and what is best for the people of the South State. It's at 3 days to the Saturday election. Joining me to discuss the forthcoming election are 2 federal lawmakers. They are colleagues on the floor of the National Assembly, but they do not agree on a day like this. Honorable Fred Agbedi is an experienced lawmaker of the PDP, and Honorable Priye Osek, also an experienced lawmaker, is of the APC. Both of them are gentlemen from the Green Chambers of the National Assembly, but they are from Bayelsa State, from different divides. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight on the program. Let me begin with you, Honorable Fred Agbedi. The violence that erupted today in the Nembe area of Bayelsa State, how does this come to your party? What do you think? Because a lot of the details have not emerged yet. But what are you hearing? What are the facts that you know? And how is your party receiving this news? It's a bad one.
Any well-meaning Nigerian, any Bayelsan who believes that democracy is not about guns and killings, but democracy is about PVC, your right to cast your vote, will condemn this action in its entirety and totality. The truth of the matter is that we've been having campaigns across the various local governments without this kind of very ugly incident, and we are shocked and taken aback that PDP went on our last campaign to Nembe local government, and stories making the rounds around says that there was gun attack and some lives have been lost, people are injured, taken to the hospital and all that. This is not what we're asking for in Nigeria. This is not what we're asking for in Bayelsa. What we're asking for is parties and people who go to sell their agenda, speak to the people, campaign to the people, convince the people why they want to lead us, so that Bayelsans, from whatever divide they are, will have themselves reasonably convinced that this is the right way to go and this is the right person and the right party to cast their votes. And so in totality, I condemn whatever level of violence and killings and that unexpected action that happened in Nembe local government. Again, just to say, yes, my party went there on campaign, but because one has actually not known how this came about, I wasn't there, it is difficult to immediately say this party did it or the other party did it. But whichever party that is involved in this kind of action that has brought down innocent lives of party members or innocent Bayelsans that have gone, to Nembe or were in Nembe that this thing happened. It's very unfortunate. And I've always said that, look, Bayelsans should only pride themselves with their PVCs, because that is the instrument of election on the 16th of December. And I said it at some fora today, that look, No matter how many people you kill, you will not be the commissioner. No matter how many people you kill with an illegal gun you possess, you will not be the governor. You will not be the deputy governor. You will not be the special advisor or whatever position you think that you will be appointed to. The people who are appointed to positions are people who make peace, who love peace, who are intellectuals, who are educated, who are enlightened, who have knowledge, who want to contribute to the development of Bayelsa State, and not those who have access to illegal weapons of destruction that bring down the lives of people. And so, as I condemn it, I want to continuously appeal to Bayelsans that we just have a few days to go, and nobody, no matter whichever local government, whichever community you come from, should emulate what has happened today in Nembe local government, because it is not good for our state.
So before I go to Honorable Oseke, the question is that a lot of people believe that Bayelsa State is a PDP state. And if you look at the history of the state over the last 20 years or so, PDP has held sway in Bayelsa. Honorable Agbedi, is it looking like your party may not be as popular as it used to be ahead of this election?
Let me quicken to say that it's not as if we're really not as popular as we used to be. Yeah, of course, I can also say that Nembe had been a stronghold of the PDP. Well, of course, in life, certain things can go wrong at certain times. Certain interests can go down, and people can change, camps and tendencies to say, okay, if this went wrong, this is the way I'm going to go. These are very likely situations as far as the Nembe occurrence is concerned. But what I keep telling us is, see, no matter your feelings, no matter your level of disappointment, no matter the way you want to change camp or switch camp, or want to change your interest and then promote your self-interest in whatever political divide you want to belong to, the essence of democracy is casting of votes.
Apologies. Let me butt in. You heard what the APC was saying. They did say that the PDP is left with only the shell. He's lost his soul in Bayelsa State, and he's going to be beating blue-black on Saturday. Is the party afraid and concerned that it's perhaps losing popularity? Is that what is happening?
Well, I think Shehu, I can tell Bayelsans, tell the whole world, that if the APC knows that they are coasting to victory, then what happened to Nembe, in Nembe wouldn't have happened today. Anybody who is sure of victory will not bring in violence.
Use that opportunity to go to Honorable Priya Oseke of the APC. Honorable Agbedi, just hold on. Let me go to Honorable Priya Oseke. Honorable Oseke, let me get your reaction on what happened in Nembe. A lot of pundits will say Bayelsa said it's perhaps one of the most volatile areas to conduct election, and that is showing 3 days before the election upon all the campaigns for violence-free election. This is happening. How is your party reacting to this, and what is your take on what is happening that happened today in Nembe?
Well, sure, I can tell you clearly that what happened, the entire Bayelsans here have not been able to get the exact details of what happened in Nembe. There are conflicting reports that there were skirmishes among supporters, and that led to the fight. So you can't sit back and start saying that the APC is responsible in perpetrating whatever violence that has taken place in Nembe. We had a situation just yesterday where the governors from other states came to Bayelsa for a final rally, specifically at Igbogene, where supporters of PDP, led by some leaders, got to Igbogene. Some of our supporters had machete cuts, bottles were thrown at people, vehicles were damaged. But in all of that, APC did not react. All we needed to do was to talk to the security people, please keep the peace. For the incident in Nembe, I can tell you, we need to still wait and get details of what happened. Just as my colleague has said, violence is not what we are looking after. We are after, because as of today, APC has the advantage in these elections because Bayelsans want the change. And if we have the advantage, why would we want to perpetrate violence? We've gone around all the communities, we've gone around all the local governments, and the support is very, very strong. And I can tell you, come 16th of November, we will coast to victory. I'm very sure and convinced that the violence that took place in Nembe couldn't have been masterminded by the APC. That I can
because the word on the street there is there might be panic considering what has happened in the past. Historically speaking, Bayelsa has been a PDP state. Do you think that could change on Saturday in the favor of APC?
It will definitely change. It will definitely change because I can tell you, in the past 8 years, the outgoing restoration government has not done well. That is why you have a situation where in the past presidential election, Bayelsans elected 2 APC lawmakers, 2 APC House of Rep members, and 1 senator from APC. That's an indication that Bayelsans are beginning to see that the PDP, because they are not doing well, they need to try another person. And the Villian represents that new beginning that Bayelsans are yearning for.
What would you say could convince voters in Bayelsa State? Because Senator Diri of the PDP is saying he wants to consolidate on what the Dixon government has said. What would your party be campaigning on? Because if the PDP say they want to consolidate, they have something to campaign on. What is your party campaigning on in this election?
That's what beats the imaginations of all Bayelsans. Because how do you consolidate on a case where a governor presides over trillions of nairas, and at the end of 8 years, at the end of 7 years, getting to 8 years, he's been constructing a road that is barely 10 kilometers, not a new road, a road that is just being dualized, and the road is not completed. How can you consolidate on the darkness that Bayelsans have been experiencing for the past 8 years? You come into the state capital. From the beginning of the state capital to the end of the state capital, there are no street lights. There is darkness everywhere. In the streets of Bayelsa, phones are stolen. Houses are being burgled every day. And you tell me you want to consolidate on what? We are imagining, because the resources that have come into Bayelsa in the past 7.5 years, they are mind-boggling. And you look at the infrastructures on ground, there is nothing there to show. So if there is to say
apologies, let me butt in because we need to. The Honorable, hold on. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we look at the candidates of the APC and the PDP. There are more candidates than the two of them, but they are perhaps in the front running in this race. What are the criteria that people will use in judging these two and other candidates in this race? PDP and APC are saying they will fight to the finish line. Who gets to get a ticket or to get the job done at the end of the day on Saturday? We'll talk more about that when we return from this break. Join us again, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. We've been talking about the Bayelsa governorship election. And, of course, we will take you to Edo State in a short while. But let's go back to my guest in Yenagua, two federal lawmakers, Honorable Fred Agbedi of the PDP, Honorable Priye Oseke of the APC. This time around, we'll shift focus a bit of what happened from what happened in Nembe to what would happen on Saturday. And let me quickly come to you, Honorable Oseke, before I go back to Honorable Agbedi. Give us an understanding, because this time around, let's talk about how fit some of these candidates are for the job. Let's look at your candidate, the candidate of the APC. We understand that the deputy governorship candidate was sacked by the court yesterday or so. What is the current situation? Is it that the APC does not have a running mate at this moment?
Well, the judgment is just a normal lower court judgment. Our party has filed the relevant appeal, and I'm sure that when the higher courts take it on, it will be upturned. So we have our ticket intact. The PDP, as usual, with their propaganda machineries, have been going around telling Bayelsans that her party doesn't have a candidate. But I can tell you, we are we're coasting to victory by come 16th of November. Let me go into our candidates. You see, our candidate is one person that I personally have worked with for over 5 years. So I can attest to the fact that this is one seasoned administrator when it comes to running his own private business. A lot of people say he has no administrative experience and all of that. And I tell you, I can attest to the fact that this is one person that has been dealing with so many persons that have been running different responsibilities in his company. And he's one team player. I can assure you that he's going to bring in professionals, bring in qualified persons, qualified Bayelsans to run his government. And assuredly, we can't have a repeat of the past 7 years. Let me also go a bit back to your earlier question that says the PDP candidate is running on a consolidation mantra. Can you tell me, does people consolidate on beating up pensioners on the streets of Bayelsa? So is he coming up to make a repeat of the beating of pensioners who worked for the government for 35 years that are duly supposed to receive their pensions, and the government sends thugs to get them beaten up? Is that what he's coming to consolidate? Or the
Agbedi to come in at this moment. Honorable Secretary, just for a moment. Let's allow Honorable Agbedi this time around. Honorable Agbedi, you heard what Honorable Secretary has said. Look, consolidation is asking on what? And your candidate, what can you say of it? Is it fit for that job considering the candidates that are in this race?
And you know that I smile at a lot of things. First, to say that when my colleague and my younger brother talked about violence from the PDP and whatever, I just want to, in one word, say that the APC in Bayelsa is an institute of violence. You have the records from the last elections of 2015, you know, when we had governorship election like this and how many souls went down. I think that is just what has been repeated in Nembe today. Of course, you know that the PDP couldn't have fought themselves. It is an enemy against those that they are afraid of. And that is what has happened. And that is what we have constantly told Nigerians. That, look, tell this APC, if you finish killing all the people, who are you going to govern? Assuming. And if you know that you are going to win, do you need to kill the people to, you know, manufacture people to come and cast votes for you? You know, this is what we have always told them. Their leadership, their candidates, their followers, they are well baited in violence, and they are always towards perpetuating violence. That is what has replicated itself in Nembe today. And I will always condemn it, and Bayelsans are very angry about it. Let me come to the issues of our candidates. We are talking about the PDP candidate, who is Senator Doye, and the candidate of the APC. Clearly speaking about who these people are. Of course, when you come to recruitment of leadership, Nigeria and Africa has always gotten it wrong because we have been always having faulty process of recruiting leadership. And here again in this election between the PDP and APC, we are beginning to see one party, APC, expressing a faulty process of recruiting leadership in governing a state, and PDP getting it right. Getting it right in terms of a man who has been tested, who has proven his capacity and quality and competence. And then we are talking about, my colleague and my younger brother is talking about somebody who manages small business, maybe surveillance. In fact, the young man is talking about, it was my political friend and younger brother and everything. See, it's good to manage your small business in your own private environment. It's completely different from when you want to lead the totality of people in a political sphere. And in the political sphere, you have to speak about.
We need to close this part of the program. Are you saying that Senator Didi, your PDP candidate, is better than David Lyon of the APC? Is that what you are saying?
Political appointment is a development chairman, a development council chairman, not even an election to a federally recognized, approved local government
not very clear.
council. So what are we talking about? We're talking about is gone off, I'm sure.
It's good.
Honorable Agbedi, again, you've not responded to what Honorable Oseke has said. That what is your party consolidating on? You have 30 seconds to respond to that so that we can close the program. All right, because some of these conversations around who is best fit for the job, who are these candidates of these different political parties, and how well are they acquainted with the plight of the people, the voters that will go to the polls on Saturday. And these are some of the issues that Honorable Fred Agbedi and Honorable Preye Oseke of the APC, they're talking about tonight. Of course, we will go to Edo State where the crisis is reaching a fever pitch. Honorable Agbedi, quickly react because we need to close this segment of the program. You've not reacted to what Honorable Oseke said as regarding that what is your party consolidating on? He's mentioned that your party has nothing to consolidate on.
The party has so much to consolidate upon and bring new ideas on board. He didn't mention what the APC has done in Bayelsa. First of all, the leader of his party took 50 billion bond, and we don't know what it was done, he did with it, when he was even in PDP. And that's the leader of APC. But today we are talking about a Bayelsa who has education, boarding schools for the first time under these 8 years, and airports by a governor in these 8 years. The first flyover under these 8 years. A road to his own local government, the second local government that is ongoing, Southern Region local government for the first time. A time that we supported NDDC and Shell to construct a road to Nembe where his own party leader said that it's economically not viable. And that is the road we drove today to Nembe that people have been killed for a road that his own party leader couldn't do. A man who came from Nembe. We are talking about...
Let's close this program. Let's close this program. I'll give you another 30 seconds, Honorable Agbedi. And it's a fact that, are you saying that the candidate of the APC, from what you are, the way you have described him, is not fit to be the governor of Bayelsa? Is that what you're saying in 30 seconds?
To be governor of Bayelsa is not competent, he's not capable, and he does not fit into recruitment process for leadership, and so he cannot be. And that is what Bayelsans are saying. If you want to lead us, speak to us. If you are not speaking to us, there is no other person that can come and speak to us. And he has not spoken to us.
Honorable Oseke, your moments for your final take. You heard him. The competence of your candidate.
Sharon, yesterday Bayelsans listened to David Lyon.
And what did he say?
And Bayelsans were so happy that they have a governor that feels the pulse of the people, because he has come to tell Bayelsa that he's going to bring about security. The killings in Bayelsa will stop. He has come to say Bayelsa's money does not belong to him.
And they killed today.
Just as the way the restoration government has personalized public funds. Public funds are being expended as though they belong to Siriake
Dixon. In the 50 billion bond
now, talking about
was not attached to any project.
Let me say this. Timmy Perez Silva, our party leader, is not in the ballot today. So when you come here to the studio and start talking about Timmy Perez Silva, for me, it beats my imagination because he's our leader. Timmy Perez Silva took a bond and constructed
we need to close the program. We need to go to the program. But in 20 seconds, Honorable Oseke, pundits will say where Southern Ijaw goes in Bayelsa election is where usually the votes go. Are you confident of what this narrative?
And our governorship candidate yesterday told Bayelsans that the era where salaries will be held, the era where pensioners will not be paid, the era where development will be personalized, is not there. That come November 16th,
all right. We have to leave it at that. Apparently, you're not speaking to the question that I asked you. But Honorable Fred Agbedi of the PDP, Honorable Preye Oseke of the APC, gentlemen from the Green Chambers of the National Assembly, representing Bayelsa State. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on tonight. I wish both of your parties the best ahead of Saturday.